Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready for race number 6 of the Fuel Racetrack Designs IndyCar Series. Here to go road course racing yet again, this time at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Now, last week we had a little bit of an off week. It wasn't exactly planned, but it just so happened that on the Thursday night that we were supposed to run Iowa, iRacing decided to do a little bit of an update, putting in the new aero screen. And Seth Cole alongside Sam Dyer here tonight. And Sam, we ended up doing another league that had already had the updated aero screen. So with that in our back pocket for information, what are the pros and cons of this new feature that these drivers are going to have to deal with tonight?
I mean, with the screen, it's going to be affecting their vision just a little bit. It's a bar that's going to be right in the middle, and also the screen can get a little bit of glare on it. So it's going to be more of a visibility for these drivers. It might be an issue with that point, but it does tighten up the car up front a little bit, making it drive just a little bit better. But it's mainly a safety thing for real-life drivers. And for our iRacing virtual guys, it's mainly a safety feature that they have put into these cars. And so it's going to be difficult just to see, kind of, but I got a little bit of trust in these drivers that they'll be running very quick laps and having a great race today.
Today at the Mid-Ohio Race Course, and we've had 2 road courses in the past, and we've kind of designated some trouble spots there. Obviously, Laguna Seca, we definitely knew it was going to be the corkscrew, and then the last race that we did at Road Atlanta, it was turn 5. With seeing what these drivers have been able to do here in practice and how they've approached this track, where's the trouble spot you think they're going to have to deal with today?
I mean, we're guessing that it's going to be around turns 4 and 5, possibly 6. It's mainly wherever you can find rumble strips. It's a dangerous spot for these drivers. That's why all the other road courses we've had those corners that were tricky is because they had rumble strips. If you hit them wrong, your car spun around. But this track is a lot more, you got to be a little bit slower, using your brakes a lot more than even at Road Atlanta they were using it. So it's going to be a fun race to watch, as it's actually a pretty skinny track, and it's going to be hard to find passing zones.
Definitely is. 13 corners here at Mid-Ohio. Pole sitter for tonight's race, last time out's winner, Nicholas Johnston. He, of course, won at Road Atlanta. Finally got himself in the winner's circle, as he's been pretty close quite a number of times here this season. So what do we think? Back-to-back road course wins for him?
I mean, just based on his pace, he's going to be one of the fastest cars out here. I think another car to watch out for is going to be Riley Thompson. He's been fast and been one of the fastest cars at every road course so far. Byron Daly, he showed speed in practice, being the fastest one there. But a surprise car up front, it's going to be Andrew Wood. I mean, that's a machine I was not expecting to be up front, but he's showing that he's got pace.
Definitely, and obviously he is trying to take the points lead back from Nicholas Johnston. Those two have really been going at it here all season long. Last week, though, well, actually 2 weeks ago at Road Atlanta, really kind of widened the point stands with Johnston winning and Andrew Wood running into an early incident, did not get the finish he was looking at. But we also got some interesting fuel situation coming into this race, because I believe you were told it's going to be a 2-stop race, but there's might be some guys that might not be looking at this as a 2-stop race.
Yeah, it's going to be close. So the fuel window is from 25 to 27 laps, but we're running 56. So you're going to be a couple laps short on that pit. So some might be seeing some people get a little bit aggressive with their pit stops and try to push it to a 1-stop this race. And there's one machine, possibly 2 machines, that I'm having my eye on at pushing it to have 1 stop. And that's going to be Liam Quinn and probably Will Roberts.
There's rolling here off the grid, show you your starting lineup. Another thing that was added as a new feature here to these Indy cars is a new panel on the steering wheel. And something that we're going to be talking about here today that we really haven't talked about in past road course races, and maybe we really should have, is these drivers are going to be utilizing push-to-pass.
Yeah, push pass is a feature where it gives your engine to have a little bit more horsepower than it usually would as we're green. And it's going to be effect. Oh, there's already a wreck in the back.
There is. Now, this is a road course. Will it bring out a yellow? The track would pretty much have to be completely blockaded up for them to throw a caution, and I do not see one.
No, they're all getting all situated.
That might have been the one that I saw go around. Might have possibly been... Oh, yeah, I got another car around there out of turn 3, I believe that is. That is the 56 of Riley Thompson, who started on the outside of the front row.
Riley Thompson, a very fast machine we thought would be doing well as having early issues. This track is very tricky and things to watch out for. Cars that were involved in that first incident, it's going to be the 77 of Ryan Hertz. Michael Hertz goes off the track at turn 5.
And Heater's going to try and get it back on course. I think another car that might have been involved in that incident as well over there out of the final corner at the start-finish line might have been the 59 of Evan Adams. You see he's sitting on pit road. That whole front nose is gone.
As well as Jared Dixon was involved in that first wreck, as Mike Hurley is having a little bit of issues. But going back up front, it's Nicholas Johnston pulling away from the rest of the pack.
Nicholas Johnson showing the way, and a guy that we maybe dubbed a little bit of a dark horse here, Byron Daly, running in second place. And the reason we kind of dub him as a dark horse is because he's only made 2 starts this season, but both of his starts, he's finished inside the top 5.
Yeah, he's shown extremely being quick. I mean, being the fastest in practice, not having the fastest run in qualifying, but still has the speed and could probably catch up to Nicholas Johnston as they're both running fast laps. But bringing back to what the push pass is, it's basically when you have more horsepower in your engine, you've got 10 times to push the button to try to make a pass on someone and have a better chance, basically when you're on the straightaway.
Bommersbach had a great run last time out at Road Atlanta, and that's actually moved him up to 3rd in the point standings coming into this one. Now, he still is 32 points back from points leader Nicholas Johnston, but kind of a little bit of a struggling start to the season, but now it looks like he's finally gotten it back together.
Yeah, doing well, getting to have a solid run up here in the top 3. Going to be trying to have the best run he can. Danny Roberts also having a good run, being in the top 5.
Just up ahead of him, these drivers, we said today that the trouble spot could very well be that heavy braking zone of turn 4, then going up the hill to turn 5. There's a gravel pit off of turn 4, which I've been on a first-name basis with. Not in this platform, but over in 2003. And this guy is the reason. Zach Buchanan had a league in 2003 that I ran, and we ran this track. And I have firsthand felt the pain of turn 4 before. So, but a good run here for Buchanan right now in that 3rd position. Zach Buchanan, if I remember correctly, I believe he is actually an Ohio native. So this is kind of like a home track for him.
As he got off that corner a little sideways, got on the powers a little bit too much, but still able to stay straight and going.
Nicholas Johnston still showing the way, but it looks like visibly, I haven't really looked as far as the intervals on the ticker, but it looks like he may be closing in on the race leader.
Yeah, I mean, he is getting close there. As based off of last lap, it looked like Daly was about 7/10 faster. This time around, he's 6/10 faster.
Oh, we got a spinner! Oh! That's Buchanan.
Luckily, didn't hit anything, just hit some cones, and now it's back going, losing 2 positions, back to 5th.
And very fortunate. It almost looked like he might have gotten hit by Danny Roberts, but I think Roberts was just able to avoid him as he'll now move up into the 3rd position. And you wouldn't think at a road course that we'd be saying this already on lap 4, but there are some slower machines that the race leaders are starting to catch up to. One of them is the 77 of Ryan Heater, who was caught up in that lap 1 incident on the front straightaway. Yeah,
Heater's going to be a car to watch out for. And then after you get past Heater, you've got the 16 of Jared Dixon, who only has one side of his front wing and somehow is running still out here and not losing as much time as he possibly could be.
Scheduled stop for the 59 of Evan Adams. Oh, Heater just went upside down in the front straightaway right in front of the leaders. They may have to throw a yellow for that. Nope, he got to pit road. Wow.
That is terrifying as a leader. You're up front, you're running well, and then just chaos happens in front of you. You don't expect it, and you really don't want to see that happen again.
Boy, I thought because the leaders were closing in that they may have to throw a yellow. Fortunately, that car was down towards the pit wall, so there was a lane for the leaders to get around. And credit to Ryan Heater as well, making sure he teleported the car to pit road before the leaders got there. But, boy, he was about to go a lap down. Now I think he's going to lose a lot more than a lap as he's currently sitting on pit lane. Right now we have 3 cars that are off the lead lap. Another one, Mike Hurley, who I think you said also was caught up in the lap 1 incident.
He was.
Byron Daly's keeping pace right now with Nicholas Johnston, and looking at the lap times, he was faster before. Now he's kind of running about the same. Both of them ran around 108.6s that last time around. So if you're Byron Daly, When you get up to Nicholas Johnston, do you try and pass him right away, or do you maybe ride for a little bit?
I mean, you can ride for a bit, but I would imagine that you want to try to get in front of him as fast as possible, try to pull away, just in case they're trying to pull a little bit of a strategy here with the fuel window being super close to possibly pushing it out to one stop. I mean, if he rides behind, then he can be saving fuel, but if he tries to get in front, it's basically trying to just gap as quick as you can and maybe have to do your two pit stops.
Andrew Wood, second in the points, had a good qualifying effort, but he has since dropped back to the 9th position last week, or actually last time out, I should say, 18th at Road Atlanta, so certainly looking to bounce back today, but right at the moment, he's lost a few positions, so I don't know if that had anything to do with all of the stack up we had there at the initial start of this race, or if maybe he's hanging back trying to save a little bit.
Could be trying to save, but it was just like so much chaos in the back that it was an issue. Battle I'm watching, though, is Battle 4, 6. You got Roberto Munoz trying to catch up and is right on the back bumper of Liam Quinn, and this battle could be heating up.
He just had to really brake heavy going there into turns 11 and 12 as he almost ran into the back of Liam Quinn. And I'm looking at lap times, and obviously, the leaders are fast. But the guy that's laying down the fastest lap times, he's all the way back in 11th place. That's Riley Thompson, who had that spin out back on lap 1. He's been able to battle back up now to 11th, and he is running lap times somewhere in the vicinity of 1 to 2 tenths faster than our top two.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to say, but Riley Thompson, I mean, at both of our road course races has had issues. The first one at Laguna Seca, he got caught up at the corkscrew and ended his race there. And then last week, it seemed like it was early on in the race. It was around lap 5 at Road Atlanta, where he spun out. Only lost a couple of positions, was able to get it going. But this time, he has lost a lot of time on our leader. And even if with these lap times he's running, I don't know if he can catch up.
Well, I'm not sure if I would say that because it's early in this race, and I didn't give him much of a chance at Road Atlanta, and somehow he was able to cut what was about a 3-second lead down to mere feet at the start-finish line on that last lap. So I wouldn't count him out just yet.
Yeah, I guess I am cutting him a little short compared to how he was catching up on last race at the last road course, but he's got a lot of cars to get by. And yes, there's a lot of time in this race, but he's got to cut down about 14 seconds on our leader. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
As stated, these drivers, for the most part, are looking at a 2-stop race. So with that being said, I mean, if you're a driver in this, what are you looking at as a target lap maybe for the first time to come down pit road?
We're going to be seeing cars come for 2 stops. We're probably going to be seeing someone try to short pit, get as fresh tires as they can and get going, just so that they can pit as soon as they can. They're not losing too much time on everyone else. But if you're going to be trying to do 1 stop, you're going to be trying to save and push your car as far as you can. But at the same time, you got to keep it close with the leader at some point, because if the leader is only doing a 1 stop, and you're trying to do a 1 stop, you're not really gaining any time on them. So it's going to be tricky. But I think short pitting, if you're going to plan on doing a 2-stopper, is the best time to do it.
We've kind of stressed this all season long, too, that really these tires hold up very well. So you may gain a little bit from coming to pit road on a short pit on fresher tires, but probably not as much as you would in a normal stock car race.
Up front, Byron Daly is right there. He's now within a couple of tenths. So that we've been waiting for him to catch up, and he's finally right there on the back bumper of our lead.
Yes, he is. Matter of fact, we're going to take a lap around Mid-Ohio, and we're actually going to go on board, take a look through the aero screen, this new aero screen with Byron Daly, and we may end up seeing a little battle for the lead while we're doing that, as he'll show us just how to get around this road course. Go up here into turn 1. Hard paperclip turn 2 here. This is where Riley Thompson ran into his issue. Straight away here. Turn 3, this little bend to the right. And as we said, the heavy braking zone, turn 4. It's going to go uphill
sorry to cut
turn
you off,
5.
but a car that was up in the top 5 had issues. Zachary Buchanan had issues, and he is now out of this race.
Go back and find out what happened to him after this lap is completed. There's 6 and 7. This is known as the S's. And now they'll head into turn 8, turn 9, and here is Thunder Valley. Right hand turn 10, left hand turn 11. And then into the final couple of corners here, 12 and 13 before coming back to the start-finish line. And that's a lap around Mid-Ohio, courtesy of the onboard of Byron Daly. And we're now going to go back and see if we can find out what happened to Zach Buchanan.
It happened back on lap 9. It just looked like he got a little sideways, spun it around, and just wasn't able to slow up as his back end would hit the wall.
Up here into turn 2. And there it is. Wow. Yep. Car just comes around on him, and he tries to get back to the throttle to save it. And it goes down, and I don't think he hit the tire barrier, but as typical road courses, there really aren't any safer barriers either. It's concrete walls.
It was too much damage for him, and he just feels like he is not going to have the time to repair that machine, and his day is done. A car that is moving through up the pack, but losing time on our leaders, that's going to be Riley Thompson. He's moving through this pack pretty well, but at the same time, they are losing a lot of time to our leader.
Just got around Cohen Evans and Andrew Wood moments ago for 9th and 8th. Now trying to get by Liam Quinn for 6th. But to your point, yeah, he's about 16 and a half seconds back right now. We'll have to see if maybe he's able to gain anything when these drivers decide to think about pit stops, as he will move by Quinn in turn 2. Just about Zach Buchanan out of the race. There's actually quite a number of other drivers that have already gone behind the wall as well. Ryan Heater we saw go up and into the air against the pit wall earlier on. He's out, as are Mike Hurley, Jared Dixon as well. So right now we have 14 cars still scored in this race, and currently 13 of them on the lead lap.
Curtis
Matter of fact, one of them, a guy that
around.
lead lap. But a name that we saw pop up on the driver's list that we haven't seen in a while, Jason Brophy, right now in the 12th position.
Yeah, Brophy's missed a couple of races, but it's come back. And he was qualified 5th, had some early issues, and has fallen all the way back to 12th. So I'll have to wait and see if he's able to come back and get past some of these machines that are in front of him. But they're about 10 seconds in front of him, so he's got to be running some quick laps if he wants to catch up to the back of this pack.
Now, closest battle on track, it's for the lead. About 0.3 of a second separation. And boy, it looks like Byron Daly has the car to pass Nicholas Johnston, but there's not a whole lot of passing areas here at Mid-Ohio.
No, there really isn't, and it's tough to really make that move on the leader when you're really looking for a space for him to make a mistake.
He does have push-to-passes at his disposal. Let's actually look and see if he's used any of them, and looks like he... Oh.
Looks like he has not.
Nope, he still has 10 of them. For those wondering, if you look at the panel there, that yellow square third from the left on the bottom of the panel shows you the number of push-to-passes that they have left. You can see clearly there's a 10 there. So he has not used any just yet, and maybe not going to use any, at least here in the first half of this race, maybe saving them for the end.
Could be. A car that has used a few, though, that's up running the top 5, that's going to be Danny Roberts, who's used a couple.
Now in the 3rd spot, and really nobody around. Let's actually look into his cockpit, and you can see right there he has indeed used quite a few. Looks like he's got 6 left, if I'm seeing that correct. So he's used 4 of them already. Kind of surprising that a car that's got nobody around him would be using up that many this early.
Yeah, the machine that has been using them up is just trying to get through the field. It's Riley Thompson. He's used 4 of them, has 6 left for the rest of this race, and he's had to use them to get by all of this traffic. But once he's free, I think he's going to be running some pretty quick laps.
Looking in terms of lap times, he is still the fastest car out there. The 2 leaders ran 108.5s the last time by. He ran a 108.3. So it's almost feeling like Road Atlanta all over again, where he's not just reeling them in, but he's reeling them in by huge margins, laying down almost qualifying laps.
And what's crazy is he's running these laps with traffic around him. It's not like he's had clean races, like clean space to just run these fast laps. He has had to pass and battle with cars in front of him.
Got a lead change. Byron Daly has managed to get around Nicholas Johnston, so as he shows the way, but you know, we talked about at Road Atlanta, we used the word finally when describing Nicholas Johnston going to victory lane because he's been so close so many times this season. I kind of get the feeling if Riley Thompson does get back up here to the front, takes the lead, and maybe takes the win, we'll be probably saying finally for the second time in a row because, as you mentioned, he's had some really good runs going at the past 2 road courses, but some issues have basically taken him out of the running.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been just some type of slip-up at some point, and luckily it started early during this race, so he's able to try to come back from this, and he still has time to come back, but could it be another mistake that could be costing Riley Thompson?
Byron Daly, we mentioned 2 starts, 2 top 5s, and both those top 5s actually were podium finishes. Of course, last time out at Road Atlanta, he finished 3rd, and in the last Speedway race we had at Homestead, Miami, he brought it home in 2nd. So he's finished in 2 of the podium spots in the last 2 starts, now trying to finish in that final 1P1.
Gotta give up to Danny Roberts, having a great run this race, being up in 3rd. You know, he's been running in the middle of the pack for most of these road course races, having some little slip-ups here and there, which has been costing him to have a good run, but right now in 3rd, having a good one. And then back in 4th, you got Kite Brommerspatch. It seems like he's always in the top 5 here at these road courses and just having another clean run being in 4th.
Both of those guys had top 5 runs at Road Atlanta. Kite finished in 4th, I believe it was, and Danny Roberts in 5th. Both in the top 5 again here at this road course. Just to let everybody know as well, we mentioned that last week's race did not take place because of the aero screen update, so Iowa is still on the schedule. It just got moved to another off week. We will be bringing you the Iowa race, I believe, in 2 weeks. Next week's going to be Road America, and then April 16th, we will be running that Iowa race. So it's not gone. It just got moved a little bit further back on the schedule.
Which that's going to be a fun race to watch. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter track, so you get to see these guys running it close to one another.
It's kind of cool, too, because, you know, we've had quite a number of speedways all one after the other. We were at Michigan, and then we went to Homestead in, back-to-back weeks. Now we're kind of on a road course swing. Last time out, Road Atlanta. We're here at Mid-Ohio, and then next week at Road America. So drivers probably going to be like, what do I do now? Why am I not turning right when we get to Iowa running so many road courses in the 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's been a good mix of seeing these road courses. They're all not really the same. This one is a lot. You've got some fast parts, but mainly it's a lot of tricky corners. You got to figure out how to slow down enough so you don't throw yourself into the ditch or spots where you're just seeing cars spin out on. So a little bit of mix up here and there at all these different road courses.
A guy that had a good run last week at Road Atlanta, and he's actually running very well in the point standings too. I don't think we focus on him quite enough, and that's Rodrigo Munoz. Finished 6th last time out at Road Atlanta, comes into this race 7th in the point standings. He's got 3 top 10s in his 5 starts this season, and looking very strong again here. Is in a moment he's going to have a hard charging Riley Thompson trying to knock him out of the top 5.
Yeah, Riley Thompson is running 108.3s while the leaders are running 108.5. That's the fastest. So he's running faster than the leader, still the fastest car on track. But yeah, Munoz, I don't know how much of a battle he's really going to put up with Riley Thompson with how fast he's running right now.
And it looks like we've had another car go back behind the wall since we last checked. Curtis Yancey will be finishing in 13th place. So that leaves us only 12 cars still running in this race, and we had, I think it was 18 cars take the green flag. A couple of drivers were in the entry list but did not actually take the green. Todd Kirkwood, Hayden Pastoris, and John Wilco.
18 cars running, still a good show up for these guys. I mean, it's in the middle of the season, so it's usually we're seeing cars not be able to make it sometimes, and this is a different track than what mainly we'll see. Mid-Ohio, it's a track that I really haven't seen a lot of cars racing at recently, but these guys are showing off that they've got a lot of good pace here.
Mid-Ohio was actually, if memory serves me correctly, that track that the NASCAR Xfinity Series ran in the rain, and boy, that was a fun race to watch. But it was interesting when Sam was bringing up before we came on the air about the fuel window and drivers more than likely two-stopping, but maybe someone being gutsy enough to go for a one-stop. The both of us immediately thought of one guy, and he's a guy that utilized fuel strategy back at Homestead, Miami to be able to pick up a victory. Liam Quinn, I mean, he's already got a win in the bank. He comes into this race currently 4th in the point standings. He's 33 points out, so he kind of needs another win to get himself back into possible championship contention. I know it's still a long ways to go in the season.
I think I saw a car go into the pits. That is going to be Riley Thompson.
No, you're right. It is Thompson.
So this could be a scheduled stop. It could be one of those early pit stops that I was talking about where people are going to be short pitting.
We know the way he was pushing it that he was not going to be a one-stop driver because, I mean, he's been flying. But we'll see here with all the time that he's giving up on pit road for this early pit stop, how much he's going to be able to make up eventually on his outlap and laps after that when everybody else that was ahead of him, when they cycle around. Riley Thompson, when he came to pit road, was around the, I believe, 5th position. So we'll see where he cycles when everybody else makes their pit stops.
But yeah, going back to Liam Quinn, he's a car that we've seen push it to some of these cars' limits. You could say on fuel strategy wise, on trying to make almost every race a fuel strategy race. And he is for sure a car to watch out for. Another car to watch out for that might be trying to push it to a one-stop is going to be Will Roberts. It was a car that I was actually talking to earlier about fuel strategy-wise, and he said that at first he was seeing that some cars might be trying to make that push, and after practice he's like, I kind of feel like I can't push it to one stop, so I might give it a try. And so we'll have to wait and see if Will Roberts is going to be one of those machines that tries to push it to a one-stop, as only one car has pitted so far. We'll have to wait to see if anyone else does.
Make it two. Cohen Evans just pitted that last lap.
So we're starting to see cars come in this time earlier than the furthest that they can push it. So these guys are short pitting right now.
Them coming in around lap 20, lap 21.
They're going to have to pit at least one more time.
So obviously, every time we talk to these IndyCar drivers, they say, I want to take the least amount of fuel possible, make my car very light. So we're probably looking at them, guys like Riley Thompson, Cohen Evans, pitting probably somewhere around laps 42 to 44, I would think.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that we're not seeing cars try to push it as far as they can. And if they have to come in for a second stop, to possibly just do a splash and go with the fuel. So that's one thing I'm a little surprised about, as these guys are short pitting, trying to get as much fresh rubber as they can to possibly come back and catch up on these guys.
Aaron Daly ran down Nicholas Johnston, and since passing him, he has actually pulled away 3.7 seconds now back to the 28 car. Definitely right now looking like he may be the car to beat, but I'm going to be very interested to see here with these top two where Riley Thompson cycles around, because I'm looking right now with him going out there and he's still laying down fast lap times. That last time around 108.2. So he is still putting down very good lap times, and this time it's with fresh tires.
Yeah, but you got to look at our leader right now. He ran a 108.0. He ran faster than Thompson. So gotta be aware that our leader is running very fast laps now that he is not trying to be behind someone. So Daly right now has one of the fastest cars on track.
He's got a little bit of added incentive to lay down those lap times too, knowing that the 56 has already been to pit road.
A little bit. I mean, right now it was either try to save fuel and wait for him to come in and take his pits, as he is over now 50 seconds behind. So he could have been trying to push it as hard as he can to keep that gap, or he could have been saving his fuel for a little bit, but he is going with the strategy of push his tires and his fuel to the max.
These drivers, if any of them are thinking about one stop, and they're gonna have to have their target lap, really, I think, be lap 29. They'd have to be coming to pit road around the completion of lap 28. That put them right at halfway through this race. And you can see that the top two, at least, they are still staying out. So with us closing in on that halfway point, we may have actually more drivers strategizing for a one-stop than we thought.
We really could be seeing this. I think some drivers, once practice was going on, noticed, hey, I actually could try to push this to a one-stop. I mean, it was going to be so close. You were only had to save a couple of laps of fuel. I mean, yes, this track is big. This is a much bigger track than usual. It's a 2.25 mile course, so it's a 2.25 mile. So that's a lot of track that you have to save up with fuel, but some of these cars might be thinking, hey, maybe I can save a lap.
Here in the cockpit view of Nicholas Johnston, and I was kind of wondering, after he got passed by Byron Daly, if he might think about using some of his push to pass to catch back up. You can see he still has all 10 in the bank. Maybe plan to save them for the closing stages of this race. I think one thing that we have to think about now, if you're someone like Riley Thompson or Cohen Evans, who have pretty much committed themselves now to a two-stop strategy, how far, behind or ahead of the then race leaders do you have to be to avoid, losing positions? Because you see that these guys, when they're on pit road with these Indy cars, it seems like a little bit longer of a pit stop with the changing of the tires and everything. So you can't lose a whole lot of time there, or else you're not going to be in the hunt for the win.
Yeah, I mean, based off of watching Thompson's pit stop, it was about 15 seconds or so that he was on there. Could have been a little bit shorter than that, but he was out there as our leader's coming in.
Saw Rodrigo Munoz finish up his stop, and Byron Daly from the lead is in. This is a few laps before halfway, so I don't know if this is a one-stop strategy or not. What'd you say the fuel window was for these guys?
It was about 25 to 27 was the furthest that we could see if you weren't trying to save.
That's cutting it close.
So you're going to be a couple of laps short. I was expecting some of these guys maybe to try to push it to maybe 28 laps, but we're seeing a couple cars come in, as also Danny Roberts has come in.
We know that Byron Daly was not saving in any way, shape, or form, either when he was running down Nicholas Johnston or running away from Nicholas Johnston. So if that is indeed the farthest he can go, I would question about both he and Danny Roberts being able to make it the rest of the way without making another pit stop.
Another car that has come in and now already had his stop done was going to be Munoz.
There's the lead back over to Nicholas Johnston. Right now we are waiting for, I believe, 7 drivers to hit pit road to complete the cycle of pit stops, including our top 2, Nicholas Johnston and Kite Bommersbach. We're also waiting on Liam Quinn, Andrew Wood. Oh, here comes Bommersbach in from second. We're waiting for Quinn, Wood, Will Roberts, Jason Brophy, and Hugo Galaz.
Bommersbach's coming in. And yeah, honestly, if you're seeing a car go past 28 laps, they're trying to make it a one-stop. So right now, you have to wait and see who's coming in.
In Wood and Roberts, they all stayed out.
It's going to be interesting to see if our leader stays out for another lap or if he comes in this time.
Couple of guys that did a good job with their pit stops, Byron Daly and Danny Roberts. Byron Daly cycles out still in second place, and Danny Roberts right now in sixth, and he's got four drivers ahead of him that still have to come to pit road.
You know, looking back at Riley Thompson's stop, he might have came in a little bit too fast, and he could have gotten a penalty. That's why he might have been staying in longer than what all these other guys were doing.
As I'm looking right now, and, guys that he had already passed on track that have made their pit stops, they're out there ahead of him right now. Rodrigo Munoz is currently sitting still about 1.6 seconds ahead of Riley Thompson, so I think you're right. He may have gotten a penalty. There's the lap 28 target lap. So if all the drivers that stayed out, if they make it to this completion,
doing one stop, and everyone else that pitted already has to pit again. So everyone that's right there running, they are feeling confident that they can do one. This is their one stop that they have to do this race and make sure it's a clean one.
Byron Daly, he came to pit road on lap 26. It would have been the completion of lap 25.
Our leader's in.
Projected with what we've got for a fuel window, that would put him a little bit short. Would he maybe, if he's able to pass Nicholas Johnston here, would he maybe try and save a little bit? I mean, is it possible, do you think, at a track like this to save 1 or 2 laps of fuel?
I mean, with how much fuel he needs to save, it's going to be tough. He's got to save at least 3 laps of fuel, and I don't know if it's possible to save 3 laps of fuel. Even if you're running slower lap times, it's going to be very close. As our leader has already come in, we're waiting to see Liam Quinn as he is also coming in. Andrew Wood has come in this time, so will Roberts.
So Danny Roberts back up to third as Nicholas Johnston already completed his stop, not before losing the lead back to Byron Daly. And I believe we are now waiting on just one more driver to hit pit road, and that would be the driver currently running in the 5th position, Jason Brophy in the 88.
Brophy trying to run as many laps as he can, but he's going to be having to come in soon.
Mentioned about Brophy kind of not been around for the last couple of weeks. He, I believe, has only run one road course race so far this season. That was Laguna Seca, where he finished 15th. He did not run last week at Road Atlanta. All right, so here's how it cycles. Byron Daly leads, but only by 4.2 seconds. And as you said, big question mark on whether or not he's going to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel.
Brophy is staying out. Are we sure and confirmed that Brophy has not come in?
Oh, this is actually, hold on. Actually, as I'm looking, Brophy. Okay, so here's why I didn't realize that Brophy, why he stayed out. He actually pitted back on lap 5. So that's why he's able to stay out a little bit longer than these guys. This is only his 25th circuit on this set of tires. So I don't know if he may have gotten involved a little bit in some of the earlier incidents back on lap 1 and decided to come to pit road early. But yeah, he's completely off sequence from everybody else.
Okay, I was just about to say, if he's actually still out there, then a lot of these machines could have pushed it a lot further then. But yeah, with him off cycle, it's going to make it hard. Daly still needs to come in at least once. So right at this point, he's got to be pushing it as far as he can, but at the same time, he's got to be thinking about saving fuel, because the car behind him that's only 4 seconds off, he's already pit, and he doesn't need to pit again.
He's in the proverbial rock and hard place because he can't save because Johnston's already good to go. He's going to be out there laying down as good lap times as he's able. But at the same time, he has to save because projected he'd be about 2 laps short.
It's going to be close. We know Nicholas Johnston's good. But everyone else, it's going to be interesting to see where all the chips fall with everything all the fuel strategies that we've seen people do. I think Nicholas Johnston did a great job of staying out as long as he did. trying to save the fuel, and that was a great strategy on his part. If he can keep this race clean for the rest of the way.
Maybe that's why we saw when Byron Daly passed him for the lead, why we didn't really see Nicholas Johnston battling for the lead back. He kind of fell back. He may have thought, all right, you can go ahead and take the lead and use up all your fuel. I'm going to stay back here and save a couple of laps.
Update on Riley Thompson. He's up to 7th now, passing a few cars. The next one on his list is going to be Jason Brophy in 6th place.
Right now is 32 seconds behind the race leader, but same deal for him as it is for Byron Daly, because Thompson was one of the first to pit road, so he's going to have to come to pit lane at least one more time before this race is over. And so right now, it is definitely looking like the ball is in the court of Nicholas Johnston, who right now I think is one of the few guys up here towards the front that we know for absolute certainty can make it the entire rest of the way on fuel. I mean, I'm looking here, and according to what I'm seeing, Byron Daly's about 2 laps short. Danny Roberts 2 laps short. Kite Bommersbach be right on the cushion, maybe about 1 lap short. And Riley Thompson, right now, projected to be about 6 laps short.
I think for Bommersbach, he can do as slow as he needs, as these cars in front of him need to pit again. And the cars basically all around him need to come in at least one more time. So if he can save at least 1 lap, he should be good, and I think you can save 1 lap. If you run slow enough and you're pacing yourself and you're not allowing the cars that are good to the go, if you're able to save enough fuel, you should be fine here.
If Bommersbach is good on fuel, then right now the drivers that look like they can make it the rest of the way would be Nicholas Johnston, Kite Bommersbach, Liam Quinn, Andrew Wood, obviously Jason Brophy, who just made his last pit stop a couple of laps ago, and as well as Will Roberts and Hugo Galez. But there's about 5 guys, 4 of them up inside of the top 5, actually 3 of them up inside the top 5, who look like they will have to pit one more time before the conclusion of this race. Hugo Galez has actually gone a lap down to race leader Byron Daly. You saw his number 55 there. Currently running between Daly and Johnston, and I don't think Nicholas Johnston's in any hurry to really get up there to Byron Daly, because I think he's also aware of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, he still needs to save a little bit of fuel. You got to think that he did stretch it, his car a little bit past where it needed to be, and he still needs to stretch it on this time. We're saying that he's good because we've seen that he has gone the furthest that he needs to go to make it, if he does the same exact strategy that he just pulled on that first stop. So as long as he's running the lap times he's running, he should be good to the go.
A driver that we know cannot make it without coming to pit road, but still a good run right now going for the 17 of Cohen Evans, currently in that 7th spot. Cohen coming into this race currently 6th in the point standings. Ahead of him, Riley Thompson still laying down good lap times. That last time by, he and Byron Daly were pretty close to each other, both in the 108s. Daly ran a 137 and Thompson a 187.
Now that we're seeing that Daly is running these fast of laps and he's up front and he's pulling away from Johnston, do you think that he's going to be short pitting at all to try to pass these cars once he comes in the pits, or do you think he's going to try to push it as far as he can and just gap everyone so that he has just a big enough gap to then make just a couple of moves with a couple of laps left?
I mean, my assumption is when he comes to pit road, I don't think he's going to take tires, because Nicholas Johnston's going to be staying out on the same tires that he was on when he made his pit stop. I think it's going to be a splash and go. I think right now what his strategy is, and I think you may be right onto it, try and gap as much as you can between yourself and the 28, then come to pit road, short pit, go with a splash and go, and try and make up the deficit in maybe the final 10 laps of this race or so.
Now, the fact that this is going to be a splash and go stop, this 5-second gap that he has just isn't big enough. He needs at least a 10-second gap, if not a little bit more than that. So if Daly's going to do a splash and go, he needs to pick it up. As there is a car spinning in front of him, believe that is Will Roberts.
It is the 39 looping it around there in what looked like turn 6. Anything, and he got the car refired. He'll continue on. But to your point, saying that Daly needs to have about a 10-second gap, if you look at the lap times that he's laying down, he's running anywhere from half a second to 0.6 faster each lap. So he has, at this point, accumulated a 6.3 second gap. If he continues this up, he would have the 10 seconds he needs within the next 8 laps or so, all dependent on when he's planning on making that pit stop.
And Johnson's been running the same pace, the same laps all race long. He's just been running that 108.6, 0.7 for the last 5 laps. So he's not been running super quick compared to our leader who has been running these blistering times. So maybe he needs to think about picking it up. At the same time, he's trying to save.
Let's not forget, too, that Byron Daly used up a couple of his push-to-passes when he was trying to get around Nicholas Johnston. To my knowledge, Johnston still has all 10 at his disposal.
I am taking a quick look. Johnston still has all 10. Daly has only used 1. Roberts has used 7, who's back in 3rd, so he's only got 3 left. Okay, Brommersbach's got a total of 6 push-to-passes left. Munoz has only used 2, so he's got 8 left. Riley Thompson's got 6 left on his marker, which, here's the thing, Riley Thompson needs to pit longer than everyone else. He came in at lap 20, so he'll probably come in at lap 40 if he's going to continue with the short pitting that he's been doing, but he's going to have to pack his car full of gas just if he has to short pit as much as he did.
Well, it's gotten awfully spread out, but we do have a battle. 9th place position under contest. Andrew Wood trying to hold off Jason Brophy. Both of these guys pretty similar in terms of tire wear. Brophy's got maybe about 2 laps up on Andrew Wood, and at the same time, these guys are starting to reel in Liam Quinn, so we could have a 3-man fight for 8th place in just a few laps.
Update on those guys' push passes. Jason Brophy's got 5 push passes left. Andrew Wood's got 3, and Liam Quinn's got 5.
And all 3 of these drivers projected can make it the rest of the way on fuel. So they will not be coming back to pit lane for the remainder of this race. Taking a look at the gap, continues to grow between Daly and Johnston. It's at 7.2 seconds. So do you think if Daly accumulates that 10 seconds, that's when he's going to come to pit road? Is it basically the interval between himself and the 28 that's determining when he's going to make that pit stop?
I mean, he probably was going to try to stay out there as long as he can to push his car as hard as he can until he needs to come into the pits, as he is running his fastest laps of the race right now with a sub 108 with a 107.9.
Actually, only 6 1,000ths off his fastest lap of the race, so he's right up there in terms of fastest laps so far, and that's happening here with 19 laps to go. That's not in the early stages of a race with fresh tires.
No, and honestly, I think that's the fastest lap of the race, just based because that's faster than what Riley Thompson's been running, and Riley Thompson's the only one that's been running that fast.
Yes, I actually think that is the second fastest lap of the race so far that Daly put down. Second only to himself when he ran a 1:07.934. I'm not sure when he ran that, but he's got the 2 fastest laps of this race so far. But boy, they're making a little contact back here for the 9th position between Andrew Wood and Jason Brophy.
They're trying to get past. It looks like Brophy's just ready to go. He's tired of running behind these guys, and he just wants to get by and run as fast as he can.
Obviously, these guys, they're running right now about 53 seconds behind the race leader. But I think they're realizing, that with a lot of guys ahead of them that are probably still going to have to pit again, like Riley Thompson, Cohen Evans, they're battling for potential spots inside of the top 5 here. They're maybe battling for 5th place when all is said and done. So I think that's why you're seeing this aggressive racing between the 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, if our leaders didn't have to pit, I would say, hey, there's a possible chance of lap traffic being an issue here with these cars. But due to the fact that our leader needs to come into the pits and the gap that's between our leader and the cars at the back, that should not be an issue by the end of this race.
Nicholas Johnston now has realized the situation. That last time by, he'd been running mostly 108.5, 6s, but that time a 108.139. So he is not allowing the gap really to increase as much as it was before Last time we looked, it was about 7.1 seconds. That was 2 laps ago. It's only now 7.6. So the 5-6 tenths of a second that Daly was picking up the first time we looked, now it's been dwindled down to maybe about a tenth or two each lap.
And Daly really needed to keep on gaining time and spreading out that gap, but just not able to, as Jason Brophy's able to get by Andrew Wood and now has his sights on Liam Quinn.
And Quinn is about a little less than 4 seconds ahead of the 88. All three of those drivers, Quinn, Brophy, Wood, they're going to be able to make it the rest of the way. Bet that lap between Daly and Johnson by maybe about 2 tenths. It's now about 7.8 seconds between the two of them. Again, Nicholas Johnston ran a 108.2, so he's at least keeping it down in the lower 108s now as opposed to the mid 108s he was running about 4 or 5 laps ago.
Closest battle we have on track is going to be the battle for third, where we got Danny Roberts and Kit Bommersbach battling up against one another.
And right now, as you said, Kit Bommersbach, it looks like he is going to be good to go on fuel. Danny Roberts is a question mark, though, because he came in 1 lap before Bommersbach did. So I don't know how much of a fight Bommersbach has to put up with Danny Roberts here, with the fact that Roberts may still have to hit pit lane in these final 15 laps.
I mean, Roberts right now is looks like, based off his lap times, he's trying to save fuel. But at the same time, he did run his fastest lap back on lap 36 for himself of a 108.4. So he's running his fastest laps, but I think he might be running slow enough that he could be trying to save fuel here. Byron
Daly, boy, he's kind of pulling a Riley Thompson from last week, just kind of besting his laps. He's now got the best lap at 107.721. Last time by ran a 107.769, so he's the only car out there right now that's running laps in the sub 108s.
And he kind of has to run these fastest laps, as looks like Riley Thompson threw down 107.8.
Yes, he did. He's the guy we're going to be having to kind of focus on, though, because he is the one guy we absolutely know for certain cannot make it on fuel. He was one of the first ones to start the cycle of green flag pit stops. He's been out there for 22 laps, so obviously I don't think he's saving it all, so we're probably going to see him on pit road somewhere in the vicinity of 10 laps to go. And the guy behind him, Cohen Evans, in 7th, would be the next guy we'd see on pit lane. He's been out there for 21 laps, so we know for certain they cannot make it. They're just trying to pick up as much track position as they can, so that way when they do come to pit road, they don't lose out on a lot of positions on track.
Byron Daly is pulled in, and he will be losing the lead here, as there goes Nicholas Johnston.
Are going to jack the car up there. I don't know if he's going to take tires or not. Question is, how much time does he lose? Looks like they didn't spend a lot of time there. We're going to come out in 2nd place, but what is the interval going to be, and is 14 laps enough time to chip it down?
I got to say, he's probably lucky that he's still in 2nd, as the guys that were in 3rd and 4th were charging behind him. But Daly, he's got his patch full of fuel as much as he needs to get to the end of this race, and now he can run as fast as he was running before and as hard as he needs to.
Pit stop was a 7.8 second pit stop. And if we look back at Nicholas Johnston's last pit stop, he had a 9.7 second pit stop. I don't know if he took tires on that pit stop or not. So we'll see if he's going to be able to reel Johnston in here. We know that he's been laying down some 107 lap times. Can he keep doing that? As we had a car in trouble ahead of him. That was Will Roberts again in the 39 machine. Looks like he may have spun in the exact same corner we saw before over in turn 6.
It was the same exact corner. As it just looks like Will Roberts is having a tough time. But, he's able to make it to the end here with fuel as long as he can just keep his car straight and on track. So we'll have to wait and see as he is a lap down.
If you look up at the top of your screen, shows the intervals from 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. 14 seconds with 13 laps to go, and we saw that Daly was running around half second to 6/10 faster at one point of this race. projected right now, if he does that again, he's going to need 28 laps. I don't think 13 laps is enough to do it.
No, it's going to be very close, but Johnston, we got to worry. Has he been saving enough to make it to the end, or is he going to run out at the end of this thing? As it is a risk trying to push these cars as far as they have been pushing it, and will he have enough speed? As I'm going to take a look at Johnston's lap times right before he came to the pits, because right before he came into the pits last time, he was running 108s, 0.7s, 3, and 2. So he was running basically what he's running right now. And so he should be fine if he's running the same pace.
I'll tell you what, he just ran his fastest lap of the race, 108.034. So I think he's definitely got the pace to at least keep Byron Daly at bay at this point in time. The one thing is, though, and we've seen this happen at road courses, right now everything's looking sunshine and roses for the 28 car with 12 laps to go, but we got to remember, we've seen a lot of drivers have some issues with this track, either sliding in a corner, getting up on the rumble strips, so he's still got 12 more circuits to make around Mid-Ohio, and this track could come to get him at some point.
Also, we've seen lap traffic having issues in front of our leaders, and there's possible chance of someone slipping up and being in front of them. So you got to be careful of all of your surroundings while trying to run as clean a lap as you can.
Riley Thompson and Cohen Evans, we said they were two that definitely could not make it. They are on pit road right now. Looks like Riley may fall back to around the 8th position. Cohen Evans back to around 10th. That'd be the last car on the lead lap. Other drivers that I believe cannot make it would include Danny Roberts and Rodrigo Munoz, although, as you said, Danny might have been saving some, so we'll see. If Danny Roberts can make it, Munoz might be able to make it. So maybe everybody that is now pitted are those drivers that definitely could not make it, and everybody else might be right on the cusp.
Gonna have to watch and see as everyone is coming to the end of this race, as we are 11 laps to the end of this race. 11 laps to go. And Nicholas Johnston, he's been Mr. Consistent all year long so far, and it just looks like he's been putting himself in the right place at the right time at these last couple of racetracks.
Absolutely. A runner-up finish to start the season at Motegi. Runner-up finish the following week at Laguna Seca. Went to Michigan. He finished in the 6th position. Homestead, Miami. He finished in 4th. And then, of course, taking the checkers 2 weeks ago at Road Atlanta. So that car has not finished outside of the top 10. And in 5 starts, he's been up inside of the top 5. And right now looking for back-to-back victories in road course starts here in the Racetrack Designs IndyCar Series. I mean, right now, I think we're looking, usually in these IndyCar races, there's one guy that steps up and says, hey, I'm the guy to beat. And I think right now, Nicholas Johnston's throwing down the gauntlet and seeing what driver is going to be there to pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, he should pace at both speedways and road courses, so he's got the full package to really have a chance to win this championship at the end of the season. As right now, the closest battle on track is going to be the battle for 7th, as Brophy's under fire by Riley Thompson.
Thompson's just trying to pick up as many spots as he can here before the conclusion of this race. I believe Rodrigo Munoz is... well, actually, no. I thought he was the car just up ahead. I think that's actually a lap machine up ahead of these two. So right now, it looks like Thompson can move up as high as 7th place right now if he is able to get around Jason Brophy.
Looking
to make the pass on him here into 4, going up into 5. Brophy trying to hang with him. They're still side by side. Whoa! Little dicey going into turn 6 and 7 through the S's.
It looked like Thompson gone to the gas just a little bit too quick, a little bit too hard. Looking at Thompson, he's got 4 push-to-passes to go during this race. Brophy has 2 more.
Be the best battle here maybe for these final 9 laps. Looking at Danny Roberts, and his pace hasn't really slackened off that much. He has, at least for the moment, been able to keep Kite Bommersbach behind him. As you saw, Rodrigo Munoz actually on pit road in the 09. So with Munoz not able to make it, that would make me a little bit nervous for Danny Roberts, because Munoz and Roberts both pitted on the same lap.
Munoz maybe just didn't feel comfortable enough to push it as far as he could, and Roberts could have been saving fuel at this point, as he is still running some pretty decent lap times. But it's going to be difficult for him to save as much fuel as he needs, and it's going to be close.
Brophy almost lost it there off of 4 as Thompson went around drivers left to make the pass. He keeps it going, though, but not before losing another spot to Andrew Wood, so move the 32 up to 7th. Yeah, nice little blanket of cars right there, too, with Wood in 7th, Brophy now back to 8th, and Rodrigo Munoz, who we saw make that pit stop, looked like it might have just been a gas and go. He's right there within the vicinity of these drivers as well, so that's 7th, 8th, and 9th, all within a blanket of about 1.7 seconds of each other.
Just looking at lap times for our leader and second place driver, Daly is running about 4 to 5 tenths faster that last lap, so it's not enough, but he is trying to put down some of the fastest laps of the race.
I have a car to deal with here for Nicholas Johnston, who just ran his fastest lap, just ran the 107s, 107.595. That actually bested Byron Daly that time around, but he is closing in on Cohen Evans, last car in the lead lap, in the 10th position. And it's been quite a week here for Nicholas Johnston, of course, also winning in the Mission 22 Premier Series at Homestead Miami Speedway, so trying to go back-to-back here in the Cup Series and the IndyCar Series.
As we got another 7 laps to go during this race, so Nicholas Johnston just needs to keep it clean, and with running these fast laps, he's probably feeling like he's got enough fuel to get to the end of this thing. He can push it as hard as he needs.
Well, he's also got about a 13.5-second gap. So he's got that to work with. If he does feel like he is maybe close to running out of fuel, he's going to have quite a bit of space to be able to maybe back up a corner, coast it in, save a little bit of fuel that way. But Nicholas Johnston, when he came to pit road, though, I think we were absolutely certain he was going to be able to make it the rest of the way with that pit stop. So I don't think he needs to save, but he does have the luxury of the gap between himself and the 06 if he wants to save.
Looking at some of the closest battles on track, it looks like the closest one is for 7th between Andrew Wood and Jason Brophy.
And we do have Danny Roberts in the 41 on pit road. We'll have to see how far back he falls. He did lose 3rd to Kite Bommersbach, who passed him. Liam Quinn was about 25 seconds back, so depending on how quick the pit stop is for the 41, he may still reemerge in 4th. As you said, we're watching this battle for 7th place between Wood and Brophy.
As Roberts gets out cleanly ahead of Quinn, and he's going to be sticking with 4th and staying out there, as the One Machine is up there in 3rd place, getting that pass just because Roberts had to come into the pits.
Bommersbach was running about 1 to 2 tenths slower than Danny Roberts, and I think what that was he was realizing Roberts couldn't make it on fuel, so why take the chance of wrecking yourself trying to pass him? Just wait until he comes to pit road and take the 3rd position that way.
I mean, it's the safest thing to do as side-by-side action with Andrew Wood and Brophy.
Into the heavy braking zone, turn 4. This is actually very similar what Brophy's doing to Wood as what Thompson did to Brophy when he passed him earlier, and they will continue to go side-by-side through the S's.
It looked like Wood was getting a little sideways there, but able to keep it clean and able to keep the momentum to get in front of Brophy, as I believe that is Munoz who's tagged on to get in this battle for 7th.
Yeah, that side-by-side brought him right back into this battle as well. 7th, 8th, 9th place going on right here. We actually have a battle maybe starting to brew as well for the 4th position. You mentioned Danny Roberts coming off pit road, but there's only 4 seconds separation between him, Liam Quinn, and Riley Thompson, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Riley Thompson has just been trying to catch up to these guys, running some blistering lap times. I mean, he ran a 107.2, almost 1 second faster than what they were running earlier on in this race. As you're seeing, when these cars are lighter and they're trying to be as fast as they can put down some extremely quick times.
We again to drivers left through turn 4 and up into 5. not quite alongside of Wood as he was the last lap, and not going to be able to stay alongside when they go through turn 7. Here at Danny Roberts, and you can see that white and purple machine back there, Liam Quinn, and just back there at the beginning of the straightaway, also the 56 of Riley Thompson, trying to close in on the both of these drivers. I mean, for Riley Thompson, early issues spun up here, right here in turn 2 in the early portions of this race after starting the outside of the front row. Obviously, not going to get the finish I think that he felt he deserved, but if he can come away with a top 5 run, based on the fact that at a road course it's so difficult to battle back, I think that'd be a nice comeback finish for the 56 car.
Yeah, it really would, just to at least get a top 5. I mean, he dropped all the way back to about 15th from where he was at up front in the top 5, and we knew it was going to be a battle once that happened. He was 15 seconds back, and he thought short pitting was going to be the move. It didn't turn out to be the one to help him get the win, but it could set him up to get a nice top 5 finish here. Another car that's been who had issues earlier on in the race and has fallen back, that'd be Andrew Wood, back in 7th. He qualified in 2nd place, just didn't have the day that he wanted to have, and battling it out, trying just to keep 7th right now.
And I just was noticing here, I was actually notified, I want to give a public apology. This whole time that I've been seeing Zach Buchanan showing up in these races, I thought it was a Zach Buchanan I knew. Apparently there's another Zach Buchanan out there. My apologies. It is not the Zach Buchanan that I was thinking it was. So I've been given all these details and everything, and it's been the entirely wrong person. So a little bit of a public apology to that Zach Buchanan there.
You know, a car that's been having a pretty decent day, had lost 3rd, but is trying to battle back and might be able to catch 3rd place. That's going to be Danny Roberts. Started 10th, now up to 4th, was up to 3rd. Having a great day to just where he started to where he is now.
Yeah, definitely. You can see right there, very quickly closing up the gap between himself and Bomber Spock in the 1 machine. There's a big difference on tires as well. Actually, you know what? The reason that the battle is so close is actually the 1 car was on pit road last lap. So that's why the battle for 3rd place closed back up again.
Both of them feeling, I mean, we knew the 1 was going to be close and he just wasn't able to push it all the way. Had to come in, splash and go, and having the battle going on there. While up front, Nicholas Johnston, it looks like he's just in cruise control as we are 2 laps to go. But a lap car spins out in front of him. That could have been bad as Conan Evans losing it in front of our leader, but it will now keep going.
And the last lap of this race for Nicholas Johnston, and you can see that after Byron Daly made his pit stop, he was about 14 seconds back. He was only able to cut into that by maybe 2 seconds in the span of 10 laps. So Nicholas Johnston, I think he was saving. I think that this whole race he's been saving, really. He was saving when Daly got around him the first time for the lead to make sure he was going to only have to do a 1 stop. And then when Byron Daly came to pit road.
Oh, the 1 car going off track is going to be losing positions. Was only going to lose 1, but now it's fallen all the way back to 6th place.
Spock now going to lose spots to Roberts, Quinn, Thompson. And looks like that's where he will stay in 6th place, as it's quite a ways back to Andrew Wood. But a costly mistake there for Kite Bomber Spock, who looked like he was definitely going to be finishing this race inside of the top 5. As out of the final corner, Nicholas Johnston back-to-back. Last week at Road Atlanta, here today at Mid-Ohio. Byron Daly's going to bring it home in 2nd as he's just now entering through the final corner. And then we're going to jump back here for a moment to this battle for the 4th position between Liam Quinn and Riley Thompson. Looks like that's not over yet.
No, I mean, Thompson finally was able to catch up to Quinn, but it could have been just too late. As coming around the last couple of corners, I don't think there's enough time nor enough space for Thompson to make the move.
He's about maybe 2.5 car lengths back, closes it up to 2, now to 1.5. Does he have a move here in the final corner? Drives it in deep, might try and cross over here to his back bumper, but Quinn's going to hang on to 4th, Thompson 5th as they finish behind Danny Roberts, who did battle back for a podium spot in 3rd. Mersbach crosses in the 6th position. And then the rest of the cars that finished this race: Andrew Wood, Jason Brophy, Rodrigo Munoz, Cohen Evans, and Will Roberts. Hugo Galez was the last car to finish in 11th position, but Nicholas Johnston, I mean, he came in the points leader. He came in the defending winner from 2 weeks ago. He's now a 2-time winner this season. All the momentum seems to be in the corner of the driver of the 28.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to fuel strategy of just trying to slim it down to one stop, and was able to, and that was a great run for that 28 machine.
So far on the road course swing, if that's what we're going to call it, the trifecta of road courses that we've got here: Road Atlanta, Mid-Ohio, and Road America. He is 2 for 2. And as he comes to the flag stand on the front straightaway, we'll be seeing him burn it down here in front of the fans. There he goes. It was a question of when last week. Was he going to win? Now I think we're going to be going into Road America with a question of when. And that question will be, when is he going to be stopped?
Yeah, I mean, when is he going to be stopped? And then also the other when is Riley Thompson going to be able to not have an issue? Or when is Daly going to come in and steal a win? I think those are really the two machines that can really give Johnson a battle here at these road courses. It's going to be fun to watch at our next road course.
I think Danny Roberts, you could add him to that list as well, because he's been very consistent the last couple of weeks and back-to-back top 5 runs at the 2 road courses we've run in the last 3 weeks. Looking here at the rest of the finishing results from this race, and you saw Galez was the last car to finish. All these other guys finished out of the race either due to crash damage during the course of this event, or some of these drivers didn't even take the green flag. But I believe we've got some drivers here on standby for some post-race interviews. And let's start with second place finisher Byron Daly. Byron, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, got a copy.
Well, we saw some drivers go with the 2-stop strategy. We saw some drivers go with the 1-stop strategy. You looked like you were fully committed there to the 2-stop strategy. What, if anything, did you have to do there, especially in between the first and second pit stops you made, to be able to keep yourself in contention with the 28 car?
Honestly, be faster. I was too inconsistent, struggled in practice to try to put down some good, consistent fast laps. I just, for some reason, whenever I get in this car, I just can't seem to drive. And it bit me today. I thought I had a decent shot at it, but once Nick kind of was able to go, 13 seconds was a gap, and that's how it stayed the last stint I had. I just needed to be faster. I did a terrible job of trying to make that work.
We've had an opportunity here the last 2 races at road courses to be able to, kind of compare yourself to what the 28 car is doing. You had a 3rd place run back at Road Atlanta, a 2nd place run here tonight at Mid-Ohio. We're going to another road course next week with Road America. So what did the past 2 races kind of teach you that you can maybe apply to actually best the 28 car next week?
Honestly, just being straight up, I just need to be faster. I need to be smarter and faster. He played me pretty early in the race there. He backed off trying to make that 1-stop work. I knew he was up to something, and I sat there behind him for a while and then thought maybe I can gap him enough to do the opposite, and just wasn't fast enough. So I just need to, be smarter and figure out how to get this car to go. It's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, we were seeing that this was a tough race. We were seeing a lot of fuel strategy going on, but what was probably the toughest part of this track? It seemed like some cars were having issues at turn 4 and 5, but what was the hardest part for you?
Honestly, I struggled making good braking markers. They're off the apex to break most of the braking markers here, meaning they're on say you're turning right, they're on the left side of the racetrack, and I don't know why. Sometimes I have an issue looking at markers that are away from the apex, the opposite side of it. So I just struggle to have good braking markers. I had to kind of feel the track out, and that takes time. It takes a little bit of just concentration, and it took too long for me to figure that out, and that was most of my issue tonight.
Byron, we didn't run last week due to the fact that iRacing had the update with this specific car with the new aero screen and everything. From a driver's standpoint, how much of a hindrance is that for you at a road course like Mid-Ohio, or does it really not make that much of a difference to an open cockpit?
I'll be honest, I like it better than the advanced frontal protection. The advanced frontal protection was, to me, was more of a pain to look at than the halo or the aero screen. So I actually did not mind it. The big thing for me is just when we run ovals, just judging how close the other car is to me through the aero screen is something I'd love to kind of get some practice at. Today, never really, had a real good chance to kind of try and squeeze anybody or do anything like that. So, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm more satisfied with this package than I was with the advanced frontal protection. I think it's easier to look at of.
Certainly good to be able to get a driver's point of view about all of that, especially with the fact that you're the guys that really have to put up with it here in these races. But still, I mean, 3 races so far you've made, and all 3 of them you've finished up there in the podium. Been some great drives for you, and obviously we hope that this carries into Road America for you next week. But for now, we're going to turn the microphone over and let's do some shout-outs.
Just, thanks to you guys for broadcasting, Fuel for putting on the league. It's always fun to come out here and run these Indy cars. It's always a blast. So, yeah, just, thanks to everybody involved in all that, and we'll go trying to get them there.
All right, that's Byron Daly. Brings it home second place here today at Mid-Ohio. Congrats.
Thank you.
And we have our race winner, Nicholas Johnston, on standby. So let's bring him in here and find out about his one-stop strategy. Nick, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
10-4.
Well, you were one of the few guys that decided to go with the one-stop strategy. And it was looking like at one point there, you were trying to kind of compare yourself to... We lost our Flatcaster for a moment there. But it was looking like you were kind of trying to make sure you managed the gap between yourself and the 06. Did you know at that point in time that he was on a 2-stop?
I knew Byron was on a 2-stop as soon as he stopped about 2 laps, 3 laps before halfway. I knew it was borderline. I had to hit a fuel target the entire run, both runs, to make it to halfway and then make it to the finish. So as soon as I knew that he pitted early, that he was done. He was on a 2-stopper, and that was going to be what it was. About mid-race there, or after my pit stop, I had a target, and I was able to save a few leaders there at the beginning, so I could push a little bit more in the middle stint, as I knew he was going to lose roughly 20 seconds on pit road, and I didn't want to let him get too far ahead to where he'd be able to attack me at the last part of the race. But when it was on low fuel and with saving fuel, the tires were still really good, so I was able to knock off a couple good laps just to kind of keep his hopes down.
You mentioned the tires, and I want to just ask you this to confirm this, because we saw you lay down some really fast lap times after the 06 made his second pit stop. I'm looking here in terms of the pit stop times, and a lot of the guys that came down for fuel only were 7.8, 7.7. You only had a 9.7 pit stop. Did you take any tires on your pit stop at all?
Yeah, there was no point not taking tires. The fuel, more often than not, takes longer to fill up. Those on a 2-stop, it might have been a little bit faster to take full fuel and tires on your first stop, and then on your second stop, fuel only, because you're only going to be putting in 5 to 10 liters. But for me, it was a full tank, full 70-liter fill up, so there was no point in not getting tires.
Yeah, Nick, you've been Mr. Consistent all season long, and just looking to our next road course, are you feeling like you're going to have probably one of the strongest cars next week?
I'm fairly confident. I've been feeling really good in this car the past couple weeks. We've shown really great consistency. All the guys at Project 2 have been great help working together and finding the ultimate speed out there. So we'll go on to next week, and hopefully we can do about the same.
All right. Well, obviously, like we said last week, it was a question of when were you going to win, and now we've got the question of, who is there that's going to be able to stop you? I mean, back-to-back victories, and of course, we got another road course coming up next week, and obviously, we're going to see you up at the front there as well. But for now, we're going to turn the microphone over and let you do some shout-outs.
I just want to thank all the guys over at Project 2. They do a great job. You guys for broadcasting, and Fuel Racing League for putting this on. Have a good time racing with you guys all week, every week, and hopefully things continue to grow here in the future.
All right, that's Nicholas Johnston. Your points leader goes back-to-back in the last 3 weeks. And looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table next week at Road America.
One of my favorite tracks. We'll see you guys there.
All right, congratulations on the victory.
Thanks. Bye.
And that concludes our coverage here tonight from the Mid-Ohio Road Course. And I think we already kind of touched on it going into Road America, the question of who is going to best Nicholas Johnston. We threw out some names. I think really those names that we've thrown out there, the one thing that they're all missing that has not allowed them to really be able to get Nicholas Johnston the past 2 weeks is execution.
Execution and consistency. I mean, it's always been a slip up here and there, and we haven't really seen Johnson have any slip ups. I mean, this race in general, it was mainly just stay consistent, run your times, hit those markers, and get to the end of this race, and you'll win it. As he had the pace, we saw at the end there, he had one of the fastest cars out there all race long.
Definitely did. So we'll have to see if he's going to be able to sweep the road course stops here in the back-to-back-to-back races that we've got here. Next week will be Road America. Nicholas Johnston with the victory is obviously going to have a huge points gap going into next week. There's still a long ways to go in the season, however. After this race, I believe we've still got about 9 races still left in the schedule. So, it's not over yet. Somebody could still emerge and get some victories and be challenging Johnston when we get to Chicagoland, the season finale. But as of right now, it looks like Nicholas Johnston is the guy to beat. But once again, Sam, appreciate you being here in the booth with me tonight.
Always a pleasure.
For tuning in this evening. We will be bringing you coverage from Road America next Thursday night. But for Sam Dyer, I'm Seth Cole. Have a good evening, and thanks for watching another broadcast here on the Flatout